Nicole Khalil, and I'm a recovering perfectionist and overthinker. Yeah, apparently I decided to double down and not just hold myself to an impossible standard that I never have any hope of ever achieving, but I also thought I'd add overthinking into the mix. And I'd overthink just about everything: what I said or didn't say, decisions and risks, what to wear, what to do, who to do it with, and even conversations that hadn't actually happened in real life, but man, did they take up space in my brain. And of course, both of those things did major damage to my own confidence. So I've done a lot of work and made lots of progress in allowing myself to get messy, make mistakes, to fail. And I've practiced getting into action faster toward the things that matter and letting go of the things that don't. But I also have to share that I default back to perfectionism and overthinking so quickly it would make your head spin when I'm under stress, overwhelmed, or riding the struggle bus. But whether I'm overthinking or not, I think it's pretty safe to say that my brain is always busy. I've got mental to-do lists to go along with my physical ones. There's always someone or something to be thinking about. And friend, I have a really hard time shutting it down. Every night, Jay falls asleep in approximately 3 seconds. No joke. It annoys the shit out of me. But there I lie, thinking and thinking. And once I'm asleep, I'm all good. But the slowing down of my brain is a big challenge. And because of that, I feel like there's this ever present undercurrent of stress and worry in my life. I'm not even sure what it would look like to have nothing to do or nothing to think about, but I'm pretty sure my brain would fill the gap in a nanosecond. Physical stillness, I can wrap my head around, but mental stillness is really hard for me. How about you? Do you have a very busy brain too? Well, friend, we're going to talk about the cure to that busy brain on today's episode of This Is Woman's Work. I've invited Dr. Romie Mushtaq, a board-certified physician who brings more than 2 decades of leadership in neurology, integrative medicine, and mindfulness. She's an award-winning speaker working with Fortune 500 companies, professional athletes, and global associations, and is the chief wellness officer for Great Wolf Resorts, as well as the author of The Busy Brain Cure. Dr. Romie's brain shift programs are known to improve mental well-being, and she's here today to help us put an end to the relentless cycle of stress, overwhelm, and anxiety so we can find focus and maybe, just maybe, sleep well again. Dr. Romie, thank you for being our guest. On behalf of all of our very busy brains, how do we get some relief from all this overthinking, worrying, and overwhelm that seems to be constantly happening?
Nicole, thank you for having me join your sacred community. And I pause, and I know time is sacred. And so, to all of our listeners that have you and I between their ears, I don't take your time for granted, and really hear that both of us collectively create a brain shift today for all the women who work in your community. Where to start is, how do you define the busy brain? You said it so eloquently. In fact, you're talking and I'm like, wait, I'm the author and the researcher behind this. I'm like, yes, sister, that's me. So if you're listening to this podcast right now and you just hit the brakes on your car, or you stopped your morning walk with your dog and you're like, oh God, that's me, I'm here to tell you, you are not alone. I really want you to hear that. You are not alone. I have been there. Nicole so candidly says she is there. And what if I said it has nothing to do with the external world, the 24-hour news cycle, the distractions in our social media feeds, and our schedules that can often feel like they're controlling us instead of us controlling them. But it's all about the state of your brain. And, I listen to the experts that you have and your keynote lectures, Nicole. And one thing I really want women to get from our time together is, all of those things are true, but if we don't get the state of our brains straight, we can't build our teams and our dreams. All the other work that you talk about, confidence, competency in business, relationships, they come after. Let's talk and get real about the state of our brain. It is more important than our waistline.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you said that. And it aligns with what I know to be true about confidence, is we often think it's going to come to us from some external thing. We keep looking out there, But the answer is almost always internal
Yeah.
with things this important. So, how do we do this? What are some steps we can take?
I love this. Let me first start by defining what is a busy brain.
Please.
Is this ain't no podcast of me and Nicole saying, "Ooh, eat berries, breathe, and watch this Instagram reel of puppies hugging." No, no.
Thank God.
Thank God, right? Most of the advice that's being stuffed down the throats of women by medical professionals, social media, influencers alike are outdated or not based in science. They're actual nonsense. I've spent the last 6 years researching it and pivoting research to keep up with women's brain and mental health in a post pandemic world. So please know that a lot of the old models of stress management that were force fed to women, especially before the pandemic, including that toxic term work life balance, they're just not true. They're remnants of the patriarchy. So let's just abolish that nonsense now. Then I want us both to have this realistic kind of idea that I'm not here to tell us to slow down and go with the flow either. Because I don't know if you can relate, Nicole, but I just turned 50 and I am seeing every career dream that I've worked towards the last 25 years come true. If one more person tries to tell me to live a slow life or slow down, I'm going to run over them with my wearable tech and my designer shoes. So this is meant for my high achieving sisters. Let's give you the roadmap to your brain and your body so you can brain shift. And I do. And how do you know you have a busy brain? Busy brain is what I define as you're under chronic stress, which is most of us, from jobs, from relationships, from being a caregiver to children, your house, elderly loved ones, a senior pet. And you start to develop three key symptoms, and we can break it down. It's difficulty focusing at work or adult onset ADHD, anxiety, specifically ruminating anxiety. You're playing a thought or conversation on loop, on repeat in your brain. And the third one is what you eloquently described in your opening, difficulty falling asleep due to 72 warring, inconsequential conversations going on in your brain. Or you fall asleep like your partner in 3 seconds, but you wake up somewhere between 2 and 4 a.m. and you decide, let me get a load of laundry and answer a few emails before the kids get up. That's a busy brain. So I wanted to define what that is first.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for defining it. And I would imagine, like me, anybody listening is like, yep, I've got that. I feel like we live under chronic stress so much. I actually went to a medical professional and they asked me about my stress. And I was like, I don't even know, because I feel like this baseline of stress has become normal for me. And I
Yeah.
don't even know that I feel the level of stress that I'm under on a regular basis. So if difficulty focusing, ruminating anxiety, or struggles with sleep are part of our everyday world and it is in our brain, the solution is in our brain, what are the next best steps? I'm so glad you're not going to tell us. It's the way I feel when people are like, you got to meditate and you've got to eat right. And it's like, okay, now you're just giving more shit to do.
Right? And it's making the brain more busy. And also, that's like that toxic positivity because it's like, look at me on Instagram and I'm eating berries and living a perfect life. You failed at your life, Nicole. Romie, you failed. And no, we didn't. But we're managing a lot. I think the first thing I would say is we can't wear that stress or busyness as a badge of honor. We need to stop normalizing that as women. And I call it breaking the stress success cycle in our psyche. And this comes again, you and I share this common path, Nicole, that we've spent a lot of our early careers being the one and the only in the room, the one and the only woman, the one and only person of color, of a diverse background. I entered neurology at a time where less than 5% of brain doctors in the United States were women. And I loved my job, just like you excelled in the C-suite yourself. And that system was the fake it till you make it, or to the modern day generation, put a filter on it, and post it to show a perfect life on social media. And that's I'm going to set a goal to succeed in my personal and professional life. And then I'm going to keep stressing out until I get there. And this dopamine high of I'm going to do SMART goals. I'm going to make to-do lists. And oh, if I did something and it's not on my to-do list, I'm going to write it down anyway and check it off. Woo, just for the dopamine high that I did something productive today.
I legitimately do that.
Right? I used to. And that's the stress success cycle that I'm going to stress out. Because what happens, you succeed. Like I just, in the last 6 months launched a national and global best-selling book. And rather than being in peace with it, you're like, what's my next goal? And what's my next thing? And I want us to have goals and our KPIs and our quarterly sprints, but not stress ourselves out. So, one, it's a change in psyche. Number two, to your point, we go to the doctor, we go to a therapist, we sit down in circles of like-minded women like you and I do. And we kind of have this attitude of you're stressed, I'm stressed, who's not? I say, I want you to get your brain score, Nicole. Just like most of us know our credit score or our, business rating, we need to know what our brain score is. And most women don't think about that until one of two things happen: postpartum depression or a relative gets diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia. And we need to stop that. So we have a free busy brain test that we'll share in your show notes. It's all over my social media and website. It is a validated neuropsychology test that we tested while I was researching this book in 17,000 people. And it tells you where your brain score is and what you need to do next. And because, I wasn't going to go out there and shock and awe people and then write a scientific book and not give you a protocol to follow. So the first step is get your brain score. And then we're going to have fun talking about the second step.
Okay. So I did this. But before I talk about my brain score, I want to go back to something you said, wearing our stress and our busyness as a badge of honor. I mean, that cut deep because I think we all do that. We hide behind our calendars. We brag or boast or flippantly throw out how stressed we are, how busy we are. And I think we're unconscious to the message it sends to the people around us, our coworkers and colleagues, our peers, our friends, our family members, our children, because I don't think we would wish this on those people.
No.
What is that about?
Yeah. I'm going to break this down in three ways. I think one, we haven't taught ourselves that our brain needs boundaries. And so does our schedule. The second is men or women, we're people pleasing. So Nicole, if you said, hey, Dr. Romie, could I do a 3-hour one-to-one session with you? I don't want to offend you because I like you and say no. So I'm going to be like, I'm so sorry, I'm busy. I did two things that women leaders should never do: apologize and use the word busy. You and I live inside C-suites right now. And let me tell you, I see women more often saying, oh my God, I'm so busy, I'm so stressed, rather than men, the cisgender straight men in the C-suite who will just be like, no, I have other priorities right now. And my schedule is full.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's those two things that somehow it became like the latest logo you're wearing on your purse. The logo on your schedule was, I'm busy. So it's somehow showing you I'm successful because I'm busy with family and I'm busy with a primary business and a side hustle on the side, and then being sexy in the evening for my partner. Like, just get your brain in order.
Yeah. So everything you said, and I think we still often work in cultures where hard work is valued and recognized at a really high level. And so I think sometimes we default to wearing it as a badge of honor because we're hoping it will get us help us feel like we belong.
Yes, so I want us to work hard, right? Because you and I, we're not one of those social media ads that's like, break 6 figures without an email newsletter list with building your coaching program and all that nonsense you and I see out there. You and I have gotten, but instead of the word hard work, we want to replace it with confidence and competence. And that we show up. And when you heal your busy brain and you have boundaries for your brain and your schedule, we show up confident and competent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very different. But I want to backtrack. And Nicole, please push back because this is your area of expertise. I don't want you to take another confidence course, a time management technique. You don't need any more productivity tools. I want you to take care of your brain. When you do that and you heal busy brain and you understand where your brain is and everything else, we're going to quickly break down. I'm going to break down most of the 8-week protocol right here on the podcast. And we're going to give you a link to share to my talks at Google that breaks it down quickly for people as well. That's all inside the book. Um, that comes naturally.
I don't know much about the brain, but it jives with everything I know to be true about confidence, which is it's internal work. And so
That
much of what is chipping away at our confidence is what I call head trash, negative thoughts, inner critic, as well as overthinking, because it eliminates our potential to be in action towards what matters when we're overthinking. So, yes, it all jives with everything I know. And I did take your quiz, and my brain score was a 60, which was
okay. I got
burnout.
you. Yeah.
So, I would imagine a lot of us find ourselves in that space. So, maybe we can use me as an example. I got the email, I haven't gone through it, but what are some of these protocols
Yes. Let's
that
get through it. Yeah.
great? Okay.
I do. First of all, thank you for being so open hearted and open minded to share your journey on the podcast with both your and my listeners. I think so many people are going to relate to what you and I are talking about. Um, and then something else you said is the voice of the inner critic, the negative judgment. We have fun and tongue in cheek in my book, but it's a real thing. Is when you have a busy brain. In the book, you read when I have a busy brain and before I ended up in burnout and life saving surgery at the age of 34, my inner critic was the voice of my judgmental aunties. That's that negative voice we all have. So, again, I meet you and I start by saying, you have a 60. Anybody else that's in burnout, I want you to hear what I wish someone had told me when I was sitting in the surgeon's office facing life saving surgery. Nicole, my sister, your brain is not broken. Your mind is not a mess, and hope didn't depart your soul. I want to invite you to this brain shift protocol. And you did the hardest step, which was to get your brain score. Step 2 and week 2 in the brain shift protocol. So, shift is an acronym. I'm going to fly through it really quickly here. SHIFT. For S is sleep and your circadian rhythm. H is your hormones. I is markers of inflammation. Food is fuel that we use without going on a diet. You're welcome, everybody. And T is the role of technology. So, week 2 of the protocol, I don't need you to get up tomorrow morning and do all 8 steps. We made these micro habits because you have a full schedule. I have a full schedule. We wanted these to be quick and easy habits, micro habits that I picked for you that make maximum impact, that don't disturb your daily professional and personal routine. So, in week 2, sitting in your inbox via video and a handout is a 7-day sleep challenge that you can do with yourself. You can do with your partner at home or with your team at work. When I give keynote lectures, it's become a wildly popular exercise that has everybody feeling better and magically engaged. And CHROs notice that. It's based in cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. We give you steps and a checklist of things to do, like cleaning out from underneath your bed, changing the sheets in your room, all those things. And we have supplement recommendations. And Nicole, this is really important because the problem that happens when women are under chronic stress is the airport traffic control tower in our brain in the hypothalamus gets disrupted. That's where the research is now of what chronic stress does. That's so important because not only does it control your sleep wake cycle, but all 50 hormones in your brain and your body. If you're sitting here going, I can't get that last 5 or 17 pounds off in the post pandemic, am I going through perimenopause or menopause early? Is this PCOS or something else? Please take this busy brain test score, because when that inflammation is in the airport traffic control tower, it's not only disrupting your sleep, but your hormonal cycle, your immune, your digestion, all of those systems. That's step 1 is, and it's coming to free in your inbox. Like you said, we give that gift to you right away to get people started. So that's step 1.
Okay. So, and I want to make sure to get through all the other steps, but was when it comes to sleep, what is it that we are striving toward? Is it a solid 8 hours? Is it meeting your
Uh,
circadian rhythm? Is it
that,
okay?
that. I want to reset your circadian rhythm. And so, simple things that I think people find on social media and they're like, they're not working, Nicole, like setting a regular time to sleep and wake up. Week 3 is the digital detox and the role of technology we do before then. We specifically recommend a couple of supplements and we go into detail in the book: magnesium glycinate and 5-HTP. They calm down the inflammation in the brain and they also help to reset your circadian rhythm. But it's also the actions we take, because I can't take those supplements and then be up all night writing the book proposal to a second book, right?
Mhm.
You have to commit to these behavioral techniques. So they go hand in hand,
Okay.
right? So that's what's key. And really, we spend the first 4 weeks of the protocol restoring sleep and sanity. Most people feel immediately better after that, that the stress eating stops. All of a sudden, that partner that was annoying you, the way they chew their food or fall asleep in 3 seconds, all of a sudden you're having loving feelings for that person in your house again, you know? That's what happens in the first 4 weeks. So that's the first 4 weeks of the protocol that I want to give you in a nutshell, because for the women that are listening, I feel so strongly to get to the next back half of the protocol, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
I share in the book the story for a reason. I never had a regular menstrual cycle in my life. And I was a neurologist doing research on women's hormones on the brain. And I looked at this and I said, is something off with my thyroid? My hair is falling out in chunks. And I went to doctors, male endocrinologists. All they did was check a TSH. You're fine. And I'm like, I'm not fine. Well, I get sick and I find my way to integrative medicine, studying it, my own integrative medicine doctor. They did a full thyroid panel, which is 8 labs. It is in chapter 16 of the book. It is online in the supplemental materials. And it turns out I have autoimmune thyroid disease. And at age 39, they put me on medicine and I had my first regular menstrual cycle and I went through an infertility journey. I share this because 1 in 8 women in the United States has an undiagnosed thyroid condition. So you could have gone last year and your busy brain score was under a 30 and you're like, girl, I'm fine. Your score today, Nicole, is a 60. I am going to personally send you the lab slip and look at them myself to get your doctor to do these labs, because many women are told you have polycystic ovarian disease, you have perimenopause, menopause. Those things might be true, but if we don't fix your thyroid, that is critical. And why am I harping on this? Because the majority of women, like over 60% of us, when you have a thyroid hormone issue, it can be overacting or overactive or underactive. Guess what the only two symptoms are? I can't focus and I got ADHD and I'm anxious all day. So the doctor instead says, oh, you're just a tired working mom. You need to give up your job. Or here's Ritalin or Vyvanse, and here's some sleeping pill to take at night. And they miss the thyroid. I feel so strongly. And if it is the one action you take and go advocate to your doctor, and if your doctor says no, find another doctor, send them this podcast episode, give them a copy of my book. All the research is there. My hope is that this brain shift lab slip ends up in primary care doctors and OBGYN offices across America.
Well, I share that hope because it is for somebody who's not at all in the medical industry. I have found it wildly frustrating and disheartening going to doctors, knowing that there's something off, knowing that there is something that doesn't make sense, and feeling like I'm, and I put in air quotes, doing all the right things, right? And it almost feels dismissive, right? Oh, it's just perimenopause. And I'm like, okay, but then what do I do? If that's what it is, then oh, well, we could put you on hormone replacement, but I'm like, there's got to be
Is something more. Yes.
more. And so I guess since you are in the medical community, are you
Yeah.
noticing that there is a shift happening where more doctors are becoming more aware about things that are unique
Yeah.
to women and ideally becoming less dismissive? Is anything happening there?
So here, I'm going to have a STEMinist moment and say this is why it's so important I'm on your podcast, because we need to normalize that women can be successful in science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine. If you have a daughter, granddaughter, niece, do not fight the programming that starts in kindergarten that girls aren't good at math and science. This is not going to change globally until we fix that issue. Number two, currently, yes, doctors who are honest are saying that the biggest medical failure that we have had outside of, and we'll get to food later, of taking healthy fats away from people and putting the whole country on processed carbs is that we have ignored women's hormones. Most of us doctors who are doing this research have known that. And this myth that taking hormone replacement therapy is dangerous, we know in traditional medicine that taking estrogen and progesterone when it is needed and labs are done is protective to your brain, protective to your heart, all of the things. But you're right. When they say, oh, it's just perimenopause, well, there's a lot you need to do. And I'm here to say if the busy brain symptoms resonate with you, please go through this 8-week protocol.
Yeah.
Because we find that most women who are in perimenopause, we need to correct the thyroid first, or in addition. If you just get the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, you're going to feel temporarily better, but something is still going to be off. We haven't gotten to the root cause. So both are true. And we break it all down in the book for you.
Okay.
And then the second thing I'll say, in addition to thyroid, is this is going to sound so next level basic that you're not even going to believe you had me on the podcast. But we save lives and brains every time we do this 8-week protocol with companies or a community. And that's, please check a vitamin D as in dog, D3 levels. They are, I hate it was poorly marketed that it got the vitamin label. It should be labeled, ooh, every woman's brain bestie. It is a super pro hormone in your body. Like, it protects your heart, it protects your breast health, but most of all, protects your hormones in your brain. And those two things alone, if you listen to this podcast and do it, and by the way, if your doctor won't listen and you gave him this book, you gave him Nicole's podcast episode, one, I want to say find another doctor, which not every woman has a luxury to do. But two, we have a partner on my website, Rupa Health, that they, in all 50 states, you can go and get the labs drawn. You pay a fraction of the cost you would in integrative functional medicine doctors. And Nicole, I want to have a proud, confident, competent moment with you. I knew when I was building this protocol and we tested it in over 1,000 executives, I needed to create a lab slip that could be done in the traditional US healthcare system. Because before, these labs were only accessible if people had thousands of dollars to go to an integrative functional medicine doctor. And I was like, no, we need to hack that system and make it accessible to at least people who have health insurance in the United States. So please know that this is what that is. And Rupa Health is an alternative on our website that can do it. But please start with your doctor first.
Okay. So, Dr. Romie, we've talked about sleep, hormones. I want to make sure inflammation, fuel, food, and tech, right? We still,
Yes.
okay.
We need to improve.
Yeah.
So inflammation, I got to the vitamin D3
Okay,
levels.
great.
And there's other inflammatory markers we check in your lab that will say, because I can't do a brain biopsy of your airport traffic control tower of your hypothalamus. So it gives me a clue like, hey, something's going on in Nicole or Romie's brain, right? Food is fuel. We need to stop the diet, the cleanse culture, all of that. I want to honor, like, I'm a chief wellness officer of over 12,000 employees in any company. You want vegans, meat lovers, chocoholics, carb lovers, I just put something in my lunchbox that was in my refrigerator and I hope it's not molded. We want everybody to sit at one table and feel like they belong, right? Diet and going on a strict cleanse will actually increase the stress levels in your brain and make a busy brain worse. You get a temporary dopamine high that, ooh, I followed the protocol today, or my scale went down 2 pounds, but it really isn't permanent. So what we did, we broke it down simple. If you have a busy brain, schedule comfort food twice a week. Go out to that fabulous restaurant and the bougie hotels you love to stay in, Nicole.
You know me.
I got you, girl, right? I want to have like my Indian basmati rice with potato curry and naan bread, like as one meal, my triple carb threat, like yay, comfort food after I've been on the road speaking and consulting all week. And then we say this, If you're going to choose a high glycemic carbohydrate, something that spikes your blood sugar, white flour, white potato, white rice, then no caffeine for 1 hour before or after. If you choose caffeine, then none of these, high glycemic carbohydrates. It's that simple. So by week 5, if you've been following the protocol, stress eating is going to go down. You ain't going to be eating the whole bag of Oreos or chips, whatever your vice is. And you do that, people were actually not only losing belly bloating, but brain bloating as well and feeling better. Week 6 of the protocol is adding a healthy fat to every single meal. And it doesn't need to be Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen. Keep it basic. Throw some olive oil on whatever you're eating and let it be done. Have avocados for breakfast. Whatever is going to make our lives a little bit easier, And that's it.
Yeah.
It
I
is
love that.
transformative. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And tech, because we cannot possibly be living in today's day and age
No,
without thinking that
no.
tech is impacting our brain, and we're worried about it in our kids. And so what do we do for our busy brains as it relates to tech?
I, want to have a conversation with anybody like you or I that runs their own business or they're listening and they're working at work is we find 2 key habits. And I go through it in chapter 9 of the book. One is 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime, shut down all the digital devices. It's your busy brain fooling you to think, oh, if I just send out those 3 more emails or work on this report, I'm going to feel better. No, you won't. It'll raise stress hormone levels. Even if you're mindlessly scrolling and watching TikToks that make you laugh, it's actually raising stress hormone levels. So none of that. But the second thing we say is we go through the data of the Microsoft Human Labs that if we're on back-to-back meetings, like you and I are virtually on a screen, even though I'm having the time of my life, without taking a 5 to 10 minute break every hour, our brain stress hormone levels are going up and we're fueling that busy brain. So every hour, get up for 5 to 10 minutes and get away from the scene of the crime, which is your screens, and go do something different for your sight, your sound, your touch, your taste. And so I'll go in the kitchen and chop up vegetables or fruits so that I know I'm eating, something. Or if I'm on the road, just get up and, walk outside or do something. So that's the key.
Dr. Romie, thank you. This is fascinating and uber helpful. And I like that you broke it down into, I don't want to say simple, because obviously you did a lot of research to figure this, but that,
But we wanted to make it simple. The
yeah,
simple steps you do. Yes. And it heals burnout. Yay.
yay. All right. Well, I know you want to take the busy brain test too. So go to drromie.com and find the busy brain test. You can take it for free. Your results get sent to you right away, plus the protocol that she's been talking about throughout our episode. Go to drromie.com. And of course, you can follow her on social media. We'll put all the links in show notes. And absolutely go get her book, The Busy Brain Cure. Dr. Romie, thank you.
Nicole, thank you.
All right, there you have it, friend. We can and probably should shift our brains because the overthinking, constant worrying, stress, and overwhelm are just not serving us. Life will give us plenty of hard, and there will be curveballs, and we will experience pain, and no amount of planning or preparation will prevent the unexpected. But carrying the extra weight of our mental load is just making life harder and heavier than it needs to be. Maybe that's the weight that we should be worried about. Maybe those are the extra pounds that actually matter. Curing that busy brain and losing the weight of your mental load in order to create peace and some moments of quiet within yourself. That is woman's work.